dealing with a very unique challenge today. It's a little breezy out, and I feel like it's been windier in recent days than this. But already 3 times before I've tried to film this video, my camera ring stand, I got one of those little ring stands, it's blown over. We can't have that. We need to be able to cut straight through and film something proper here. And the weather's not cooperating. But what do I always say about adversity, folks? You got to get creative and go through it. I wanted to return to the old studio in the yard, the chair. But if the weather's not cooperating, you've got to adapt. You got to overcome. Listen, hopping on a plane, Dallas, Texas, later today. It's going to be a challenge to film once I land. I know this. So what do? You get out ahead of the curve and you say, all right, cheers to that, nature. And you take a sip of your not sponsored Waterloo Guava Berry Seltzer. I love these sparkling waters. Back during COVID, I was a senior in college at that time, and we were sent home, and I basically, it was in New York. It was right around sort of the ground zero of the whole COVID thing in America. I was freaking out. Everyone was freaking out, right? And so we couldn't see anybody, so I was just at home. And my dad would go to Costco, and he would get these massive cases, like racks of seltzer, Polar, the Polar brand. So that really put me on to sparkling waters, seltzers, non-alcoholic seltzers. I like a nice beer. And that's actually going to be kind of the topic of this video. But one of these, so crisp, so refreshing, right? So you say, cheers, nature. I see you, but I'm going to overcome, and I'm going to do it at the highest level. And I'm going to step out of the wind a little bit, and hopefully this ring stand can stay put while we get to work. See, we got a big breeze right now. You can probably hear it on the camera. I got to hold the ring stand steady. I don't care. We're doing it at the highest level. So, listen, if you've ever been stressed in your life, this one's for you, all right? Especially if you're a dude. This really only applies to dudes. I don't know what chicks do, whatever, to de-stress. But if you're a dude and you're stressed, have you ever considered just going out to have a beer with the fellas? Listen, sometimes we get cooped up. We get in our routines. We get very, maniacally focused on something. And it seems like not getting any breaks. Seems like things are going the wrong direction. God, what do I do? What does it all mean? Blah, 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 blah. You start to get the thoughts going. You start to get really introspective for the wrong, blah, 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 blah. Have you ever considered that today, the day I filmed this, March Madness begins tonight, and there's just going to be a bunch of games on TV. You can just go out with the boys and just have beer. Has that thought even crossed the dome? Because listen, I'm not saying that's going to fix your problems, but I'm saying life seems a lot simpler when you're in one of those moments. Life seems just a lot more like, all right, this ain't so bad. This really ain't so bad. These past couple months I've been stressing. I've been kind of tweaking. I've been fidgeting. I've been focused so much on work, focused so much on all these things, and it has been stressing me out. I've been, I've noticed myself a little higher strung than I like to be, a little more affected by my circumstances than I like to be. Then it occurred to me, we haven't had Thursday night football in like 2.5, 3 months. And that's when I used to get together with the boys Thursday nights. We'd go out, grab a beer, watch the game, and shoot the shit. And I've just had less opportunities to do that over the last couple of months. And when you don't have scheduled time to hang out with the fellas as a man, it's going down the tubes. I'll tell you what, it's just going down the tubes. No wonder you're stressed. No wonder you're high strung. You need that time with the boys to actually relax. That's just what you need, right? So everyone gets in these introspective modes. Oh, I'm burnt out because of work. I'm freaking out because of this, because of that, blah, 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 blah. Maybe you should just go hang out with the boys. I mean, maybe it's really as simple as that. And the solution, the answer was actually right in front of you this whole time, but it seemed too simple to possibly consider. See, they say that in today's day and age, you know, people feel isolated and lonely. And there's some people, the hikikomori of Japan, who retreat into their shells. And there's many other races of people besides the Japanese who have hikikomoris, but it's their word, so I'll give them credit. So if you're a shut-in, that's what that means. Maybe you don't have friends, and that's a problem, right? But if you're not, maybe you're just shoot. You know, maybe you just don't see too many people, right? Working remote, something I do that can be a toll on the mind. You just don't see too many people. You don't have. You're not in the office. You're not buzzing. Even if you are in the office, but let's say it's just not a place where a lot of your friends are, right? Or a lot of like-minded individuals are. Excuse me. You know. Maybe you're stressing because it's just been a while since you and the boys argued who should be the number one seed, or who should be the favorite really to win the March Madness tournament. You know, maybe it's been too long since you and the boys debated if Fernando Mendoza is going to be a good NFL quarterback. Maybe it's been too long since you asked yourself or your friends, is Bam Adebayo's 83-point night a factor of the modern day NBA, or was it truly one of the great all-time scoring performances? You know, it's probably just been too long since you shot the shit, is kind of the point that we're hammering home here. Going to Dallas this weekend, as I mentioned in yesterday's video and probably earlier this video, and you know, it does bring a single tear to my cheek that I'm not going to be with the fellas watching the kickoff of March Madness. It's going to be a fantastic weekend. We're going out, visiting girlfriend's family. I love them. They're fantastic folks. So much fun to be around. And I'm sure I'll still be watching some March Madness. And I'm sure I'll still, at some point, enjoy a nice beer, right? All that's going to happen. But these moments really make you appreciate what you have, right? They make you appreciate what you have. You know, if you have a good circle, don't take that for granted. You're the luckiest man on the face of the earth, all right? If you have a good group to spend time with, don't take that for granted. You are the luckiest man on the face of the earth, like Lou Gehrig said before he unfortunately passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease. So it's tough. It's tough, right? Because life does have its ups and downs. I'm not trying to diminish anyone's stressors, anyone's circumstances. Some people are fighting all sorts of battles, different obstacles, personal, financial, and otherwise, right? That's a real thing. That's a real thing that people are facing. But nowadays, it seems like the world wants to push you towards therapy and, you know, meditation and journaling and, you know, all these different, you know, esoteric methods of, you know, how can I rewire my brain and fix this stress? And what if I told you that being stressed is part of the human experience, and you'd feel a lot better if you just had a beer with the fellas? I mean, listen, call me crazy, all right? But I'm pretty sure that for 90% of cases of, you know, men feeling down on themselves or whatever, that would fix it though. That would just simply fix it. You go to a nice local dive bar, a saloon or a pub, if you will, and you say, hey, can I get a Guinness on draft? Guinness is very popular nowadays. Can I get a Mick Ultra on draft? And then you just sit there and you just watch whatever game is on TV. And you just turn off the brain for a second. You can think about business tomorrow, all right? You can think about your goals tomorrow. Sometimes it's almost like people who kind of brag about being behind on sleep, you know? So there's seasons of life where, you know, you're going to get less sleep because you have more to do. That's okay. But if you get further and further behind on these kind of basic things, you're doing yourself, you're shortchanging yourself, right? So I believe that if you are just going hard nonstop and you never give yourself a break, unless you're just a uniquely differently built person, which those people exist, but unless you're that person, sometimes you just need to unplug and recharge, all right? Working 12 hours a day is enough. It's an extra 45 minutes with the boys afterwards, with the fellas, you know? It's something too. They said a loneliness epidemic is actually not necessarily only the shut-ins, the hikikomoris, but you know, guys who kind of grown, who are grown up and maybe have families. They're a little bit older, and everyone's too busy to get together, right? You may have the boys, but you're too busy to get together. Everyone has something going on, legitimate excuses. Well, shoot, that's a recipe for disaster over time. Unless you make the time to get together, unless you make the time to hang out. It's tough, you know. As you get older and you accumulate responsibilities, it can be tough to get together and find those moments where you can just hang out. But that's an imperative of life, right? Because everyone is working hard. Well, not everyone's working hard, but people who are working hard, it feels like they're working hard to get to some fitness goal or some financial goal, or once I have X, Y, and Z, finally I can relax. Finally I can retire. Finally something happens. I got news for you, bud. What are you chasing all that money for? What are you chasing all that fitness for? Is it not for the experiences that provides? Is it not for the ability to just relax and hang out with the people you love? So can't you sprinkle a little bit of that in along the way, right? We stress ourselves out, we run in circles, and we lose touch with the important things of life, you know, chasing the next bag, chasing the next come up, chasing the next, you know, fantastic business opportunity. But when we're stressed and we're just like, it feels acidic, and you almost want to stop pursuing it after a while because you're so like, ugh, you know, this happens to a lot of people. It's called burnout. It's a term I just made up. It's called burnout. But if you just took some time to relax every so often, maybe I'll be all right. You know, this was inspiring, and it reminds me because it was March Madness last year, this time. I was in Charleston, South Carolina. I'd never been there before. I'd heard it was a fantastic city, as many of my friends attended the University of South Carolina, which is not in Charleston, but it's near enough by that they would spend some time there, and they were all like, hey man, you gotta visit there, right? So I'm in Charleston, and I'm at this bar, just kind of like a dive bar type place, and I was actually with my girlfriend. So me and her, we spent this weekend together, fantastic. But we run into this guy who just, I don't know, he started talking to us. You know how it is. You're at the bar, you're having a couple drinks, whatever. People just start talking to each other, and it's all great. He was in his 40s or 50s, and he was with a group of men in their 40s or 50s. And they're all just hanging out. It's like, hey, what's the occasion? Oh, me and the boys, we go on a trip every year for the first week of March Madness, and we all just hang out, you know. It's a weekend, you know, for the guys, where the guys can catch up. Everyone has families, jobs, careers, all these things, these pressing, you know, these responsibilities, right? But every year we take this trip, we go to a new city, and we just watch March Madness together. What a beautiful thing. Doesn't it make you want to cry a tear of joy? Doesn't it make you just, I don't even know what it makes you do, right? Doesn't it make you just feel like you're on the mountaintop witnessing something beautiful, like in The Lion King? Like, all this territory is mine, except not the dark area. I've actually never seen The Lion King, so that's a bad reference, but the point is, it made me happy, all right? The point is, it made me happy. Hey, some guys, they can still make it happen. They still find time for the good people in their lives, their friends. And this is not an anti-family video. This is not an this is not an anti-work video. This is not anti-anything like that. But you got to keep yourself even keel. You got to keep yourself balanced. And if you're stressed and you're just feeling acidic and you don't have, you just feel burnt out, you feel a little lost, you feel a little whatever, just please consider the fact that Masters weekend is coming up, and you can just watch some golf with the boys on a sunny patio with a 12-pack of beers. You can do it. What if you did it, you know? So, and this video is also not promoting alcoholism. Beer, in this case, may be a metaphor if you don't enjoy drinking it. You think about that, You think the next level ahead? Could be a metaphor. It might not even be, you know, might not even be a necessary medium for all this all to take place. Maybe you can drink some Waterloo guava sparkling water, not sponsored, seltzers. That's a possibility too. The real point, the overarching theme of this video, in actuality, is just spend time with your friends if you're stressed, right? That's kind of the kind of thing that grounds you, makes you present, makes you a little focused, you know, makes you say, wow, I really do appreciate what I have. I appreciate where I am. And if you're with the wrong group of friends and you can't do that, it's a whole nother problem then. Get out of there. Find new people. Sometimes it takes time. The older you get, the more you realize, the more I've realized at least, that you're not automatically going to be best friends with everyone you ever meet. You know, when I was a kid, I wanted to be well liked. And I think I was, maybe. I guess I don't have any real metric for that, but I believe that I was. And so it was nice to be friends with a lot of people and have, you know, a wide circle and all this. But as I get older, I've realized that the amount of people that I truly actually click with, it's a small percentage. That's true of everyone because we're all unique individuals. So the intersection of people who, you know, share our interests, our senses of humor, it's a very small overlap of the Venn diagram of you and humans, right? So you got to really appreciate those people. If you're spending time around the wrong friends, if those friends don't intersect with you, well, shoot, you should go make more friends who are more closely aligned with your interests, you know? That's a different discussion, a different video. But nothing can cure a man's burnout faster. Nothing can cure a man's feeling down on himself, etc., than just hanging out. Just hanging out, taking a play off, right? Just taking a play off. Even players who play every snap, who play every minute, they have off days in the season, you know? They're not playing 16, 17 games back to back in the NFL. They had a week off, they got a bye week too, right? They're not playing all 82 games in the NHL season back to back. No, they get breaks in there, right? If you're not an all-star, you got all-star weekend off. Even if you are an all-star, you kind of get all-star weekend off. I mean, what's even happening? What did they do? The Four Nations last year? Nobody cares about the all-star games in any key sport, right? So it's kind of an off weekend, even if you're traveling, even if you're moving. So even the best, even the top members of their craft, take a play off. Just hang out, you know? Just have those moments where they can relax and enjoy. Those are the key moments of life. That's when you stop. That's when you take a break, take a breath. Those are the little adventures, the adventure maxing, right? The little side quests and missions. Sometimes you just gotta pause the main story, you know, and just say, hey, I'm gonna lounge around and watch March Madness tonight. I'm just gonna do it, you know? I'm just gonna do it. So that's the key. If you're feeling stressed, burnt out, then this video is for you. Try my secret new tactic before you go meditate or talk to your therapist, all right? Because I think it's gonna work.